Speak loud, because I don't have a little speaker. Okay, welcome. Welcome to the Western Wall Heritage Foundation Tunnel Tour. My name is Batya, and we're going to be together for about an hour and 10 minutes. During this time, if you have bottles of water, feel free to keep drinking. If you have cameras, please take lots of pictures. And are you up to learning a Hebrew word?
Yes.
It's not too early in the morning?
No.
All right. The Hebrew word for rock is Evan. Evan means rock in Hebrew. And Evan is made of two other words, Hebrew words. Av, meaning father, and Ben, meaning son. Father, son, Av, Ben, Evan. Now, what's the relevancy? The rocks, the Evanim, have been sitting here for hundreds and hundreds of years, absorbing all the stories and history this place has to represent. We're like the suns. We want to tap into that history, to connect to it. All you have to do is touch the rocks. Imagine who put them there. Imagine who chiseled them out. Imagine what those rocks have seen. Connect and take that feeling home with you, for this place belongs to everyone. So basically, standing on one foot, that's an invitation to touch all the rocks you see. This is plastic made to help blind people understand what the area looked like. But it's also going to help us. The most amazing God I can think of would be King David. 3,000 years ago, he wrote the Psalms, and he suggested we walk around Zion. Now, Zion is the rock, the Evan, under the dome of the rock. In Jewish tradition, this was the cornerstone of creation. From this rock. This is the rock where Abraham bound Isaac. And this is the rock where Jacob had his dream with the ladder. Fast forward a few hundred years, King David conquers a small city of Jebusite south of our rock, builds himself a palace, a capital city to unite the 12 tribes. Now, it is time to do something for the Ark of the Covenant, which has been sitting in a tent all this time, waiting. What is the Ark of the Covenant? It's a gold box. It has two angel things on top. What's inside? The Ten Commandments, exactly. Engraved on stone of pure sapphire. That meets a temple. King David contacts the prophet Samuel, and together they relocate the location of our rock, our Evan. Plans are put in place to build the first temple, which is built by Solomon's statue for about 400 years. This destroyed the Jews, going into exile in Babylonia. Come back 70 years later, begin to rebuild the second temple. Did you get that? Good. That was first temple. We're not talking first temple. We're talking second temple. But we got the first temple built, the second temple built. And it's been standing for 350 years. And it needs repair. Enter Herod. Herod was a king. Herod murdered all the rabbis, except one. That one rabbi, Rabbi Baba ben Buta, Herod blinded him. Now, Herod was also paranoid. He used to dress as a commoner and go around and ask people, well, what do you think of Herod? What do you think of Herod? How about you? What do you think of Herod? This could have been a very dangerous game. Herod went to Rabbi Baba ben Buta, the rabbi he blinded, and spoke with him for over an hour, trying to get the rabbi to say something bad about Herod, which he never did. So Herod gave up. Well, Ben Buta, I'm actually Herod. I'm feeling a bit sorry I murdered all your colleagues. What do you suggest? Herod, you put out the light of the world. You must rekindle it. How do you propose I do that? I can't bring the rabbis back to life. Herod, rebuild the second temple. Yes, you got the right man. Because Herod was a great architect and builder. But this is what he had to work with. Hills and valleys and fields. Very lumpy and bumpy. Let's take this mountain off with its head. Turn it into building blocks and push them down the hill. Using gravity to build yourselves the biggest, most humongous, huge, large Temple Mount platform, Harabayat. Now, this is the size of 12 soccer fields. The western wall outside where we pray is right here. A very small part of the 488-meter long western retaining wall of the Temple Mount. There is also a northern, eastern, and southern retaining wall, but for reasons we will explore, the western wall became the most important. Now, on top of this, Herod began building or rebuilding, depending on who you ask, the Second Temple. This was a stunning building. It should have been one of the wonders of the ancient world. But Herod was born too late to get on that list. This was built out of white marble, blue marble, green marble, and gilded all round with thick plates of pure gold. Our temple stood for close to 70 years. And while it stood, Jerusalem expanded from this small city to a hilltop over here and far north. Now we have a problem. People are living on top of this hill. The Temple Mount's very tall, and they're just separated by a very steep valley called the Tyropion. How are you going to get from one high place to another across the steep valley 2,000 years ago? You're going to build a bridge. Excellent. Out of Evanim rocks, remember? So, here's our ancient bridge, which we're going to be walking beside and standing under during the first part of our trip. In fact, if you look through that doorway, you're looking at a very small part of our bridge. After some 70 years, our temple was destroyed. People began chipping away at the top of our rock, taking home souvenirs. In 691, Abu el-Malik built this, the Dome of the Rock, a building full of stunning mosaics, protects the rock. Of course, once this was here, the Muslims wanted to be here, but so did the Crusaders. For 100 years, we had terrible battles back and forth. Muslim Crusader, who was going to be king of the mountain? Finally, the Muslims said, we can't defend this place. Why not? That valley again, the Tyropian Valley, cut the city in half. So, they began building arches on top of arches. Arches, like the one over your head, and on top of all of these arches, they simply raised up and built their city. Now, Jerusalem was much easier to defend because it was one piece, more or less flat. And remember, Muslims pray 5 times a day. Now their houses were much closer to Al-Aqsa, which is the mosque. The Dome of the Rock is not a mosque, it is simply a shrine, but unless you're Muslim, you can't get in either one. Second part of our trip, we will be walking under the arches built to raise up the Muslim quarter. Is that clear? I'm impressed. Evan means rock, and you understood this, and it's not even 9 o'clock yet. Who destroyed the Second Temple? That's a very complicated question. The city of Bethesda, Maryland, and New Jersey. Welcome. Now, let's go do some exploring. Any last questions I didn't? Right. The best preserve we've found in this area so far, and that's what we're so excited about. The arch is right under your feet. In fact, this part of the arch started collapsing. This wall would probably be the wall, a Roman wall behind you. And let's see one more of these Corinthian capitals, and then we'll move on. These pilasters, which are like fake pillars. We'd found many fake pillars, but never had we found beautiful capitals like this still intact. Most of them had been smashed. So that was the fun find, right down.